AITA for choosing to live with my ex-stepmom instead of my dad after their divorce? 18F. Are about to graduate high school, and things have been weird at home for a while. But now everything's kind of blown up and I'm getting a lot of mixed reactions, so I figured I'd post here. My dad remarried when I was 14. His new wife had 2 kids from a previous marriage who were younger than me. From the start she was polite but cold. Never rude but definitely distant. She always seemed more relaxed and affectionate with her kids, which hurt, but I figured maybe that was just natural. But whenever I came in the room she stopped laughing and looked at me as if I was a danger of hurting her or her children. For years I felt like I was walking on eggshells around her. I tried being friendly, helping out with her kids, giving her space, etc. But it never felt like I was truly welcome in my own home. It hurt, but I got used to it. But something changed this past year. I don't know exactly what triggered it, but stepmom started acting different. More present. Kinder. She started checking in on me, inviting me to sit with her and her kids more, even standing up for me when my dad would snap or criticize me. And that's when things started to click between us. Turns out my dad had told stepmom a lot of stuff about me when they first got together. Things like I was manipulative, dishonest, moody, lazy, emotionally unstable. Basically made me sound like some troubled, dramatic teenager who couldn't be trusted. I found this out because I overheard them fight about it. She apologized. Said she realized how wrong she'd been and how my dad was constantly nitpicking, belittling, and controlling. And how she never saw it clearly until she started watching how he treated me versus everyone else. They divorced about 2 months ago. My dad expected me to stay with him. Legally I could do whatever since I'm 18. But I told him I wanted to live with stepmom. Caused a whole explosion. He said I was choosing a woman who never even wanted me. That I was turning my back on my real family. His parents, my grandparents, called me ungrateful. Even a few family friends said I was being disloyal and just trying to hurt him. But here's the thing, Dana does want me now. She's apologized, made an effort, and treats me like a human being. She is the one coming to visit my school competitions and helps me whenever I ask her. My dad hasn't taken a real interest in me in years. She listens. She makes space for me. She showed me what it feels like to be safe. So, AITA for choosing to live with my former stepmom instead of my dad? AITA has no consensus bot. OP was NTA. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Turns out my dad had told stepmom a lot of stuff about me when they first got together. Things like I was manipulative, dishonest, moody, lazy, emotionally unstable. The thing I don't get is, why did it take her 3 years to figure out this wasn't true when you all lived together? If all those things are lies and she lived with you, wouldn't she notice it's untrue within months? OP. Throughout most of my high school time I went to a boarding school. I could have come home at the weekends, but because I did feel that unwelcomed at home, I stayed there for most of the year. I only came home at holidays. My senior year, however, I couldn't go back, because my father thought the boarding school would only make me entitled. That I would think of myself better than the rest of the family. But that wasn't true at all. How would he know? My father hasn't taken an interest in me in years. I bet he doesn't even know what sport I like to play or the name of my best friend. He only started to pretend to care when I chose to live with stepmom. Commenter 2. I'm sorry OP, your father honestly sounds like a monster to deal with. Like, why would he lie about you? What was to gain? OP. I honestly don't know. And I'm afraid to find out. I can't imagine a good reason for something like that. And I'm afraid if I'm asking him, he will turn things and make me believe him, or guilt me into coming back. Commenter 3. I'm still not a fan of stepmother TBH. It took her 4 years to realize OP isn't like how her father said she is. At least she's being nicer now. Hopefully you too, and the children, if you're interested, can have a decent relationship. OP. She did apologize for that. But to be honest, it wasn't entirely her fault. After she married my dad, I started high school at a boarding school, and only came home when necessary because I thought I'm a burden to them, and she doesn't want me near her kids. My dad then decided that boarding school would make me entitled, so I had to change school for my senior year. I didn't even get any warning. He first told me the day I was supposed to go back to boarding school. I think that was when stepmom realized something was up. When she tried talking to my dad about it, saying it wasn't really nice to make me change schools in my last year. I first thought she just really didn't want me to live with them. But it was the time she started to be there for me. I clearly could see that she was still cautious about me and held her distance. Still, she asked me if I wanted the car to meet with new friends. She told me to invite them over so I could make friends at my new school, and even came with my step-siblings to school events. Dad didn't like that and tried to gaslight us both again. The difference was because we did talk to each other, now we recognized the lies. That's when stepmom decided she couldn't trust him and started the divorce. In the end, him taking away my school, he made sure his lies got discovered. Where is OOP's biological mother? Oh, my bio mom died when I was 10. I remember Dad being different with her still there. But maybe I just romanced the time because I wanted him to be. Is OOP's father supporting her financially and for college too? Oh, no, there is a college fund made for me when I was a baby by my grandparents. Update Wayback Machine. May 25, 2025, 4 days later. Hi again. I honestly didn't expect my post to get the attention it did. But thank you to everyone who offered support, advice, or even just validation. Reading your comments helped me feel a little less alone in all of this. I wanted to give an update, especially since some people asked if my dad ever tried to explain himself. He did. After I moved in with my ex-stepmom, things were quiet for a few weeks. Then last week my dad asked to meet. I agreed, hoping maybe this would be a turning point, that he'd acknowledge the way he treated me and maybe even apologize. But instead, I got a whole different kind of explanation. He told me that he was still in love with my mom, who passed away when I was 10, and that he had never truly moved on. He said that after she died, he felt like he lost not just his wife, but a piece of himself. He admitted that he married stepmom not out of love, but because he thought building a new family would help him fill the void. But it didn't. And instead he grew bitter and angry, and started taking it out on everyone. On stepmom, on her kids, on me. And then he said something that completely shattered me. He said he never wanted her to bond with me because if she did, it would feel like my mom was being erased. That he couldn't handle the idea of me loving someone else in a mother role. That every time he saw stepmom and I getting along, it felt like I was letting go of my mom and replacing her. Which is just not true. I will always love my mom. Nothing could ever change that. But I also deserve to have people in my life who care about me now. People who show it. Stepmom has done that. She's trying and she's here. When I asked him if he realized how much he'd hurt me, how he'd changed from the dad I remembered, he didn't deny it. But he also didn't apologize. He just said he was dealing with his grief the only way he knew how, and that I should respect that. He told me stepmom was taking me away from him, and that I had replaced my mom. He said word for word, "You chose her over your real mother's memory." I walked out. I don't think I will talk to him again unless he does apologize and changes his ways. I'm still processing all of this. I'm trying to hold space for the version of my dad who was kind, who tucked me in at night and made waffles on Saturdays. But I'm also not going to pretend the last few years didn't happen. Grief isn't an excuse for cruelty. And choosing peace and love now isn't a betrayal of the past. Stepmom's not perfect, but she's trying. And for now, this feels like the healthiest place for me to be. We're rebuilding something strange and new. But it feels more real than anything I've had in years. I don't know what the future holds with my dad. But I know this. I'm allowed to be loved. And I'm allowed to choose it wherever I find it. Thanks again, Reddit. Relevant/top comments. OP responds to a deleted comment regarding the first post. OP. Because I didn't post the first post after I moved in with stepmom. I have already lived with her since the divorce 2 months ago. I met my dad yesterday for the first time since then. I put it off for so long because I was afraid he would be able to guilt me into coming back. The post I did last week gave me courage to go through with it. OP on her ex-stepmother being her bonus mom. OP. Bonus mom thinking face, I like that. She really does kind of feel like one. Commenter 1 and T. Grief isn't an excuse for cruelty. And choosing peace and love now isn't a betrayal of the past. You couldn't have put better. What a shitty father. Commenter 2. Stepmom didn't replace your mom. Sounds like she replaced your dad.